We are not in the classroom today. We are here in the Apothecary because we're going to be creating a tea for today. Because today, here in Southern California, we're in the middle of what they're calling an atmospheric river. There's a really intense rain storm coming through, has been coming through, and so we're at the, I don't know, in the middle of it and the tail end of it. It's been pretty intense. So when weather, when the environment, when stuff is really intense like this, it's kind of nice to use energetics, these concepts of energetics we're always talking about, to use those energetics to kind of help to balance out kind of what's happening around you. And that can be emotionally, and it can be physically, and it can be environmentally. So here today, we're in, now, truth to tell, I love this kind of weather. I live in Southern California. I have only ever really lived in Southern California, except for brief stints other places, but that doesn't really count. This is my place, and so I'm used to dryness. I'm used to living in a semi-arid region. So for me, this rain is a gift, and also constitutionally, my body type tends towards heat, and it tends towards dryness. So again, the rain here is like, it's like rain on the desert. My body and my psyche is just soaking it up. But that isn't the way it feels for many people. And irrespective, it kind of feels good to make a formula that balances out intense energetics. So we're going to look at the energetics. We apply concepts of energetics to our herbs, right? And we can extend those energetic concepts to everything around us. We can extend it to our foods, we can extend it to our clothes, and we can extend it to the weather. Because everything around us is information. Everything around us is stuff that we are in relationship with. So, what do you think would be the constitutional, or the not constitutional? What would be the energetic patterns of a rainy day? Hi, Rosa. Good morning. So, what is the energetic pattern of rain? Right? It's going to be it's damp. It's moisture. It's wet. We don't even need to think about that. And sometimes you might think, well, we don't even really need to say that. Of course it is. We can see that. But this is what energetics is. We tend to think that energetics, when we're learning about them, trying to get them, that they're these kind of ethereal, nuanced things, but they really aren't. They're very, very simple, and they're things that we know, we can feel in our bodies. A rainy weather pattern is a damp weather pattern. And so if we want to balance that out, we are going to use herbs that are going to be diffusive, that are moving energy, right? Damp is fine, but we want to have flowing damp. Hold on, I forgot to put that on. So, what was I saying? So we are going to choose herbs that are going to be dispersing that kind of stagnant feeling. Dampness, fluid, is life. Water is life. But we want water in our bodies, in our environments. We want it to be flowing water. Stagnant water doesn't feel good. Flowing water feels good. So if we're dealing with an excess of dampness in our environment, in our bodies, in our tissues, then we want to be moving those out. And so the herbs that move dampness are the herbs that often are associated with the lymphatic system, and are associated with the kidneys, right? Diuretics. Lymphatic plants are moving the lymph fluids, the kidneys are moving the urine, the kidneys filter the blood, so there's, all of those fluids are moving. So we can think, okay, well, lymphatics, I love that idea of lymphatics because the lymph is the river of the body. That really is the water that flows through the body. And so, we can narrow our concepts to, we want to use a lymph. And then if we think about, okay, well, I want a lymphatic, and we think about our focus, which is a rainy day, well, a perfect lymphatic for a rainy day is calendula. Because calendula is a plant of the sun, right? And you can see that. Calendula, of course, is a plant of the sun. So it is. It brings that light, right? That vibrancy, that light. But it is also a wonderful plant for moving lymph. So it's bringing lightness. It's bringing sunshine. It's moving lymph. It's nourishing. It's a little bit bitter. Bitter plants are good because bitters also move fluids in the body. They move the digestive fluids. And now we're engaging more also liver juices and digestive juices, right? Engaging more fluid movement of those fluids in the body. So calendula is a perfect choice. So that'll be the basis. Now we can we're starting to conceptualize what the tea is going to look like. Well, it's going to be based around calendula. That's a lovely idea. So calendula, and then if we want to think, so now we're also kind of tied into using a flower, right? A light, airy substance. We're not going to be going towards roots. We're not going to be using dandelion or burdock or anything like that, because that's not going to extract really well with the calendula. I mean, I guess it could, but we're going to say that it's not. Also, it's not really a rooty kind of day, right? Because roots are more kind of damp and stagnant, right? They're solid and they're deep. We don't want that energy. We kind of want that fiery, moving, uplifting, bright energy to offset the weather. So along with the calendula, I think it would be really lovely going along with that color, right? The solar yellow color, orange peel. And orange peel also has a brightness in aromatics, right? So we get that really happy, uplifting feeling. Really nice for those of us who are used to living with a lot of sunshine and maybe are feeling the lack of sunshine. Again, I'm not one of those, but I understand people who are. So we've got our calendula and orange peel as two of our teas. Now we want to engage some of that movement that we were talking about in terms of using volatile aromatic herbs. And so a really nice one for this kind of a situation would be, there's a lot of them, and most of them would be in the Lamiaceae family, right? Because the Lamiaceae family is the mint family, and the mint family carries many of the plants that we generally tend to think of as aromatics. So that would be mint, but it would be rosemary or sage or thyme or oregano or lavender. All of those are mints. Or Tulsi, which is also in the mint family. So here's an aromatic. Tulsi is an aromatic, and it helps with kind of clearing that, again, stagnancy when we're thinking of that stagnant energy of the mind. Some of us feel more kind of brain foggy and just not clear not clearly thinking when it is rainy like this. And so Tulsi is a plant that increases mental clarity and focus. And so we'll add some Tulsi too. So now we have a blend that's calendula and orange peel and Tulsi. That's a really nice combination. We could stop right there. We do want to remember that anytime we're making a combination, the more stuff we add, the less of each individual part is available, right? So if you can get everything that you need from one plant, that's great, and you get 100% of that plant in your cup of tea. But if you have 15 plants in your formula, then your tea only contains 1/15 that dosage. And is that going to give you the effects that you want? It might not. Depends on the plant, and it depends on you. So we are going to keep it kind of to a minimum. We've got 3. I think we can do maybe one more, maybe another aromatic, or maybe something spicy. Yes, here we go. So, something spicy, because it is a cold and damp day, and we want that warmth and that vitality. And Tulsi gives a little bit of that, but maybe not so much. So we could add in either ginger or cinnamon. I think I'm going to do ginger, because I like the idea of ginger. So that's going to really increase that warming quality of the formula. So now we have 4 plants. We have calendula and tulsi and ginger and orange peel. That sounds to me like a beautiful formula. I'm going to start blending that together and keeping kind of it feels not finished. It feels like there should be something more there, but I'm not sure what it is. So I'm just going to start putting it together, and we'll see where it goes. So so we have our basic blend. Now we're going to consider what how much of each one, right? The formula is. So if our formula is equal parts of all of those, equal parts of calendula and tulsi and orange peel and ginger, that's kind of a lot of ginger. That would be like, whoa, way too much ginger. So already we can sort of reduce. As we're talking about this, I have them written down, and I'm kind of messing with these numbers as we formulate. This is how we formulate, right? So we know our ginger is not going to be as much. Half, we'll start with half. I think half a part of ginger to 1 part of everything. Well, I'm going to bump up that tulsi, because tulsi is delicious and wonderful and should be really a star in a formula. So if we have a half part of ginger, I'm going to put 3 parts tulsi, 3 parts tulsi. Orange peel, I think 1 part is good, and calendula 1 part is good. So we have a formula: 3 parts ginger, 3 parts tulsi, 1 part orange peel, 1 part calendula, and a half part ginger. 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5.5 parts. That's an awkward number to work with. So I'm going to bring the orange peel up to 1.5 parts. So that'll bring the total number of parts in our formula to 6 parts, and that's a better number to work with. Also, if you're just making it for yourself, you don't have to do all of this work here. You can just kind of go, yeah, ish. We're doing an estimation. But this is just if you're really wanting to get that formulation down, which is a good idea to do. Every time you do this, you are training yourself in proper formulation practices, and so it's a good idea to do. So yeah, Jennifer, doesn't it sound? It does sound good. I'm eager to try this. So now we have 6 parts there, and I'm going to make enough to kind of serve to people who come into the apothecary here today. If anyone does, again, it is rainy. Oh, UPS is here. Oh, good. Hold on, I'm going to go open the door for UPS guy. Rikara would generally be in the apothecary right now, and I would be in the classroom, but with the rain, it's upset everything. So we are flexible, so that is totally fine. Oh, hi, Con. I will save some of the tea for you. Let's see. Okay, so that's our blend. So we've got 6 parts total. So I'm going to make enough for serving today, and maybe a little bit more. So let's take. So we've got 3. You know, I'm just going to make it easy, and I'll do 3. I'll do 10 grams as the parts. So we've got 10 grams as a part. So 3 parts of tulsi. So it's going to be 30 grams. That's about 1 ounce. That's sort of what I was predicating it on. So we've got 30 grams of Tulsi as our base formula. And then we have 10 grams of calendula for a bright, sunshiny, warm. We're invoking that solar energy, which our plants here are going to just love. When that sun comes out, we're getting so much water here. We need this rain so much, and it's being nice and gentle. So I am so grateful for that. And then orange peel, we would have 1.5 parts, so that would be 15. 15 grams, which is about half an ounce, a little bit more. And then we have 5 grams. We have a half part of ginger. So if 10 grams is our part volume, then 5 grams is half a part. There we go. Just enough to give just some warmth, but not enough to kind of upset folks who are not into spicy stuff. So our blend then, you can sort of see in our formula. Let me pour it into the container. I think it'll be easier to see there. So we've got a Tulsi base. This is a Tulsi formula then, with that calendula and orange peel. You get that bright kind of that beautiful golden color against the green of the Tulsi. This batch of Tulsi is nice because it was in flower, so it's got these little buds all through it. It's just beautiful. And then hiding there, you can't really see it in the blend, but there is that ginger. So now we're going to steep the formula. Maybe they're bringing the missing piece to my mix. Yes. You know what? It may very well be, because I have a order coming. You know what? I think actually it is. I've got an order coming from Pacific Botanicals. It is an enormous order. I think he is bringing it. This order that he's bringing in is probably holding the missing piece. What it contains is 25 pounds of roses. And this is those beautiful roses. If you've bought roses from us before, Con, you know the pain that I have had from not being able to get the Pacific Botanicals roses. Theirs are the best roses. So they finally had them back. So I was like, I grabbed 25 pounds of primo organic roses from Pacific Botanicals up in Oregon, and 25 pounds of lavender from them, and then just a whole bunch of other herbs. So that is a huge herb order coming in right now. Hey, I was just telling everyone, oh, how big that order is coming in. You are so awesome. You can just park it right over here if you would.
Okay.
Thank you so much. So many plants. So yes, Jennifer, that may have it, but I'm not going into those right now. When making tea blends, do you break your calendula flowers up or keep them more whole? I keep it whole if I'm doing a water extract, because it's going to extract pretty well. The compounds that are soluble in water are going to extract pretty well. There's a whole bunch of chemistry in that calendula that's not water soluble. It's not going to come out anyway. So I'm not going to be so concerned with it, right? The resin compounds, thank you so much. The resin compounds and all of that, they're not coming out. So what is in there that I want, and also the carotenoids are not going to come out, whether I boil it, whether I grind it up, whatever. Carotenoids are not soluble in water, and so they're not going to come either. But there's a lot of water soluble constituents that will extract in there, and they're going to extract even with the whole plants. Now, if I had the ginger, it would be nice if I ground that ginger up. I could blitz that and bring that to a smaller particle size, because it is a root, but it is also volatile. So ginger is ginger is one of those plants when we kind of think about, should you infuse a plant or should you decoct a plant? Sometimes we get a really kind of binary mindset with that, and it's like it's one or the other. And either, you know, it's the leaves and flowers that are always infused and the roots are always decocted, but it is not that simple, because ginger is a root that is volatile. And so, you know, you don't boil volatiles, but you do boil roots, just because the plants are there to mess you up and go, it's not that simple. Don't try to like categorize things like that. Yes, ginger's a root, and it is also volatile. And if you boil it, you're going to lose some of those volatile compounds. You're also going to extract some other volatile compounds, and it's fine. Many people, many cultures boil the heck out of ginger roots and make really, really good medicine. It's not damaged by long exposure to heat, because so many people would not be boiling ginger, right? So we don't have to worry so much about the ginger being decocted, but it is nice to have it in an infusion to keep some of those kind of higher notes. So don't worry about it too much. And so it's fine to have a root in this formula if that root is an aromatic root. So we've got our formula. So we're going to infuse it. So I've got a jar here. Now, when people make teas, they want to use these tea balls and tea bags and some container for the teas. Hold the teas in something and then dump it into water, because that's the mindset that we have, because most of us have come to herb teas through tea bags, right? And so that's how you do it. But there are limitations to tea bags, and one of the prime ones being a lot of plants don't extract optimally if they're kind of captured in a little ball like that. It is far better to have the herbs loose in the container. And so I am just going to take my jar and I'm going to put my herbs in here. I had some warm water in here to warm it up a little bit so there's not a temperature shock, just because it is a little bit cold. I mean, a little bit. It's 65 degrees. It's freezing. That was an eye roll for all of you who are in much colder climes than I am. But yeah, just to take some of the cold off of there. But I'm just going to put the herbs directly in here and then pour the water in. That is my favorite way of making a tea blend. How much plant material I'm going to use? I'm going to use a lot, because I've got a kind of a large pot, but I'm not going to use too much, because the people who are going to be drinking this tea may not be used to really strong teas, and I don't want to shock them. So I'm not going to make it too strong, but I'm going to make it strong enough to be good medicine. And I'm kind of reiterating that for you because one of the most common questions I get asked is, what is the correct dosage, or how much do you use? How much tea do you use per cup? Depends on the tea that you're using and the effect that you're looking for and the person that's drinking it and the safety profile and your own sensitivity and maybe your liver function, and are you taking any other medications, and what is your general status of health, and how's your digestive system doing, and so many factors. We want specific doses, and there are not specific doses. And that's freeing. If you're using plants like we have in this formula here, Tulsi and calendula and ginger, and not too much ginger, a little bit of ginger, and whatever the fourth one is, orange peel. Orange peel. Those are lovely, nourishing, delightful things, right? I'm going to use a pretty good amount of them. None of them are going to have a bitter or unpleasant flavor. I mean, calendula can, if you have too much calendula in a formula, but we don't have too much calendula in this formula. It's a perfectly balanced formula. So I can have a pretty good amount of plant material in here. And if it's too strong, then I can throw some more water in there and dilute it down. But people are not going to have generally any side effects from drinking a tea blend like this, and more of this tea is just going to be more better. So I'm going to be absolutely okay with being very loose in exactly how much tea am I putting in there. I am throwing in some more cold water because it is a little bit hot, And if we have very, very hot water, when we're using Lamiaceae, so we have that Tulsi that is a mint family plant, those aromatics are going to come out very, very rapidly. Hi, Hassan. Those aromatics come out very rapidly, and so they're going to come out really, really easily. They came out just as soon as that water hit this formula. There's our tea blend. But if we keep the water at that really high temperature, then we're also going to start extracting tannins, and that's going to make the formula more astringent and more bitter. And we also remember that tannins are grabby, and so those tannins might start going in and grabbing stuff. Oh, I know what we want to add to our formula, and I'm just going to dump it in there because we can do this because it's our formula. I'm going to throw some oat straw in there because one of the things that tannins like to grab is minerals. But we've minimized, we cooled the water down, so that's going to minimize the tannins there. That's just tannins, grabby, oats, minerals. Oat straw is the thought process that just happened there. So I'm going to throw some oat straw in there too, because that's what was missing from the formula, Jennifer. By the way, it was oat straw that was missing from the formula, because I like to, anytime I'm making a blend, you want to have something in there that is going to be nourishing, nutritive, supportive, something that's going to be providing long-term strengthening and nourishment. And one could argue that the Tulsi is that thing, right? Because of course Tulsi is that thing, but I like minerals. I like minerals and I like flavonoids. I think that minerals and flavonoids are some of the most important plant chemistry that we can get, some of the most missing plant chemistry in our diet. And so the plants that provide those are the plants that I give love to. And so oat straw, there we go. We got some minerals in there. What color is it? There is the color. It's going to be kind of a brownish green color. So we're not getting a lot of yellows, even though we have a lot of bright yellow in this formula. And that's because the pigment yellow in the oh, see, Jennifer, you were already there before me. The pigment in the calendula, that pigment is lutein. Lutein and zeaxanthin are the primary carotenoids right here that make this yellow, right? And carotenoids are fat soluble. So they're not going to extract into our water. We wouldn't expect to see tea from calendula become bright orange, because that bright orange is held for alcohol extracts and oil extracts, not water extracts. There will be some yellow because there are also some flavonoids and some water-soluble, interesting, different water-soluble carotenoids that are found in calendula. But the two primary ones, the ones that are highest concentration, are just not water-soluble. So one would think it's going to be kind of a bright yellow color, and the same thing for the orange peel. We have some flavonoids that are in there, but that deep orange color, those are primary carotenoids. So we wouldn't expect to see the tea blend be that bright color. So we have sort of a yellowy brown green color. All right, so there's our formula. And so when we're steeping like this, we have all of the herbs are in constant contact with the water. The water is able to flow all over these and be a really effective solvent for extraction of all of this. If you have the teas in a little tea ball as a little clot, it's less effective. The water is less able to move over and through and around all of those herbs and fully saturate them and fully extract those. It is a great jar, isn't it? Yeah, so you can use whatever you want, whatever makes your medicine making better for you, go ahead and use it. But I tend to be minimalist, and so I think a jar is really good. Just put the herbs straight in the water and put that into a jar and just let it sit. Don't get any fancy things. And then you're going to strain it you have strainers. People, you know, you can use these in your kitchen for all sorts of things, and then also use it for your teas. So highly specialized stuff. I find more aggravating than fun. And that's also not true, because there are some toys that I have that are extremely, extremely specific, and I delight in them. So, you know, humans are complex. All right, so we could let that steep for longer, but we are using a lot of aromatic compounds, and those came out really rapidly. We also, by having those orange peels in there, we dropped the pH of the water down just a little bit, and by dropping the pH of the water, we made the water a more effective solvent for extraction of minerals. So that's something I've brought that up before in classes, that's a little way, if you are making a nutritive blend and you're using a mineral-rich plant, then think of an acidic plant, something like lemongrass or hibiscus or rosehips or orange peels. Pair it with those, or just squeeze some lemon or some lime or something like that in there. Throw some acidity in there, and you're going to improve the extraction of the minerals, and you're going to speed up the extraction of minerals, because minerals love acids. So I'm going to call this done, because I want it to be done, because I want to try it. So I'm just going to put my strainer over my my little thingy, thermos, and then just pour it through there and strain it out. It smells beautiful. Of course it does, because it's primarily Tulsi. We're getting a lot of Tulsi in there, as we would expect. And because we are extracting in a closed system, this is a closed system, so when we have an aromatic plant that we're extracting, this, with a lid on it, or anything just with a lid on it, really that's just what we mean when we say a closed system, is going to trap and hold those aromatic compounds. They're not going to get, they're not going to be released into the air. Volatile compounds are volatile. They want to leave, especially in a hot solution, which is what a tea is. And so to minimize that, you either have to trap the steam, well, no, either. You just have to trap the steam. So a closed system, when you're drinking your tea, have a plate or something to put over your cup to trap that. And then if you want to use the steam for medicine, then you kind of open it up and use that steam. But so now I strained our teas, and now I've got our blend here. Now for the moment of truth, we're going to taste this. One wonderful thing to think about is that, you know, there's an infinite number, truly an infinite number of tea blends that one can make. And so it may be, I mean, it's unlikely with this formula, but it may be that we are the first people in a long time to make this particular blend, because we just came up with it, you know, right now. Oh, that's so good. So we have the ginger and the turmeric. Ginger and the Tulsi are those primary, and again, those aromatics, right? So that the ginger and turmeric is really spicy and warming and aromatic and bright and beautiful. I think I would let it steep a little bit longer to get more of the oat straw. Not that you can kind of taste for the presence of oat straw with so many other things going on, but I know that oat straw has more that it would release into solution if I left it in there a little bit longer. But this is awfully nice. So there we go. There's our tea blend for a rainy afternoon. It's going to be rainy here all day long, but I've got my spicy Tulsi, ginger, calendula, and orange peel, bright and carrying that kind of that solar energy that we know, you know, even if it's rainy right now, we've got that sun is coming, right? We've got that sun coming because we're on the way towards the towards spring. And so this tea blend just holds that kind of that memory of the sun, the promise of the sun, and that brightness and warmth of the sun to offset a gloomy, wet, lovely, delightful, rainy day. So, if you, how much oat straw did I put in there? About that much. It was, yeah, it was about one part. Um, I still have some of the formula left because I only used part of this whole formula in that batch. So what I put in there would be approximately one part of that, I think. Um, yeah, so that is it. But you know, you could easily do double or triple that. So anyway, there you go. There's our tea blend. If you are local, come on by and you can have a cup of tea. Um, and consider making your own tea blend and think about energetics when you are formulating your tea blends. Apply energetics certainly to your herbs, but apply energetics also to your environment, to your your home, to you know, anywhere you're around, and see if you can make those energetic shifts that make you feel just a little bit more comfortable where you are. All right. See you later. Take care. Mwah. Love you. Bye bye.